And we're here.
Hi.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, hi everybody. It's not Wednesday, but we're here. How to say it, decided that it should be today.
So that made me up the production quality a little bit. You like that? Because in the beginning, Artem has to forward the feed to his Facebook. So I added a little logo. I got some little graphics today, Artem. We'll see if it distracts.
Yeah,
We'll see if it distracts me too much. How was your day?
good.
Good? Good.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah,
What
man.
about you?
Good. Yeah, just gave me a little bit more time to hone in on our topic for today, which I already feel good about. And then, yeah, I got the dogs out, did a little workout. So I put the quote down today. I don't know if you saw this, Artem, but I think you'll like this. It was, "My willingness to be intimate with my deep feelings creates the space for intimacy with another." And I think that leads, do you understand all of that?
Except intimacy.
Intimacy is like what you have with Angelica, like in your marriage, like that,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
that personal connection. So
Mm-hmm.
once we become aware of our own feelings, it gives us a better sense of how to be intimate with another. And I think that's a huge piece of what we're going to go into today when we're talking about personal space,
Yeah.
and leads more, adds on to what we've been talking about, like last week with the touching, being conscious about how we're touching and why we're touching. So, um, real quick, shameless plug, but it is for a purpose. I found one article that was in particularly fascinating. It was for the selection of dogs for animal assisted interaction programs. So these are animals that are being selected, knowing that they have to have their intimate barrier, their social, part of their communication has to be the willingness to have people touch them and make sense of that. So, therapy dogs and different types of dogs. So that article was just fascinating. So I'm going to be sharing that. And then also there was a good article in Psychology Today and a few different articles. So if you go to my website, which will be right there, thedogside.com. If you're not on my newsletter, by all means sign up, because I'll be forwarding the link to this talk, which will be on YouTube, and then also a bunch of the resources that I used to fine tune, I think, some of the topics, and that one in particular was just fascinating. The care that the people put into selecting and educating the handlers or about what their dogs are going through. So I thought that was really awesome. And yeah, man. So today we will be talking about, you brought me on this. One of them is, do you know how to pronounce the gentleman's name? Is it Pareto?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, Pareto's principle. And that means 20% of your actions could be causing 80% of your problems. And it works a lot in the economy, where 20% of the people control 80% of the wealth. It works in engineering. And I think that's one of the things we'll talk about today with people is 20% of their actions, if we get more understanding of that, is creating 80% of their problems. And today we're going to be talking about personal space. So if you have a dog that has some personal space issues, by all means, please jot a little comment down there. Talk about, how does it make you feel? What do they do? Do they jump on the table when you're having dinner? When you sit on the couch, do they climb on your lap when you have neighbors come over? I mean, let's just go right into it, Artem. We made it this big list.
Yeah.
Knocking people over. Um, can you hold something and your dog goes right into it? Like if you're sitting down and even if you pick up a remote control, does your dog walk right over and go, "Hey, what is that?" Can you eat without them interrupting you? Can you send them away when you want personal space? This is embarrassing, but this is what we're here for. When I first got our first dog, who had definite personal space issues, my wife used to call him the sex ruiner because anytime we had intimacy, he was jumping on the bed whining, like, what's going on here? So maybe that's
Why
something.
I'm not there? Yeah. Why I'm not a part of that?
So, I mean, that's something that I think a lot of people do struggle with, whining or scratching at the door, that kind of stuff. Can you not sit on the couch alone? Can't go to the bathroom alone? Climbs on the dinner table. When you sit, do they nudge your hands and are always asking for attention like they've trained you for it? Are they always in your lap? Are they a lap dog? Jumps on strangers, bothers strangers for attention. That's a very common one when I see people walk. When they stop at a light in LA, the dog starts like going to every person saying like, hey, will you pet me? Will you pet me? And this is one that I think a lot of people don't think about. Do you have problems doing basic?
And also because people don't see it as a problem of personal space, separation and anxiety also have roots in personal space issues.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. One of the things we were talking about is being able to clip your dog's nails, being able to put medication in. All of this has to do with the way you share personal space with them and the energy you bring to that. So, was there anything else that you wanted to add? That was a good one with the separation anxiety. I didn't put that down. Anything else that you hear or hear clients struggling with?
I guess that seems more common.
Yeah. So the first thing I figured we'd talk about, Artem, I'm going to put this up because I know you can't see it, but this is that diagram that I had showed you about the different parts of space that we all go through. And the first
I
one,
actually can. I prepared. I have second phone.
oh, nice, good for you, good for you. So the first one is public distance. The second one is social distance, personal distance, and intimate distance. And this is why I thought this in particular was so fascinating, because when they were talking about how they were educating the handlers and the dogs about going through these programs, the first thing they talked about was the public zone. And the public zone is the first awareness that another is present. And it's usually around 12 feet away. So you become just present that they're there. And then the next step would be the social distance. And it's permissible to be in another social distance, but the nonverbal communication between the individuals makes the situation either intimidating or acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
The third space, which is the personal space, and it's not the same for everyone. This is a huge piece that this is where it starts to get particular for each individual, each animal. And it's some radiuses are for smaller animals. It's different because they said something that was really funny in the article. They said small animals are programmed to understand that they are part of nature's dinner table. So they're a little bit more apprehensive and quick to react because they know that they can be dinner sometimes. So for some, that radius is smaller or larger, and it can be read either as a sign of favor or manipulation. So we're getting closer and closer. And then the last one is intimate space. And that can be overwhelming. If another with one's intimate space. It can be a little. So species maintain this rigid rules of communication within this proximity. And that's, I think, the part that we're going to talk about today is the vocabulary of every animal is different, what personal space means. That intimate space, when we actually get to touch the animals. And that's what we're going to talk about a lot today. And I think ignoring those signs when the animal is telling us that they're not comfortable is what we read about on the news all the time, which is dog bit my hand, dog snapped at my kid, all of these different things. So how these animals respond when these barriers of intimate zone are crossed is what we're looking for, those signals. And that's why I really found this article pretty amazing. And the
And
other,
also, vice versa, how we making our personal space the most comfortable area for the dog, and they become addicted, attached too much
yeah,
to us.
absolutely. Um, and one of the things that they talked about in that article that was really great is the intimate zone is when the touching actually happens. And when you were talking about observing dogs, that's when you really get to see who's who and what it represents, that intimate space. So I had a little bit more to talk about there, but I'm going to share the article. So that will be, I think, the best way to just get it from the source. So let's get into it. I know you love these different. This is when you love when I see the smile of Artem happen. But how we see the problems arise, and what does our personal space when you are usually trying to solve this problem? What does our personal space represent to dogs in your mind, Artem? When dogs are struggling, having people are struggling with behavior problems.
A lot of times, almost always, dogs feel like they own personal space of human, and a lot of times I see that being inside of personal space of the owner for the dog automatically mean to feel and behave in some way, and the owner, the human, even not doing anything specific, just being around you equal to be that dog, behave like that, feel like that, react like that, see the world like that. And regularly zero respect,
Yeah.
which actually with ignoring, like if it will be not a dog, we automatically can see the problem that no, this is not accepted, that somebody can how to say, behave like that towards me. And when dogs doing this, we are happy.
Yeah.
Things like that.
And you one of the things you always say, it's very emotional.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, very emotional.
Yeah.
Too much emotions.
Yeah. And one of the
And a lot of physical interaction also.
yeah. Yeah. And then we wonder why our dogs do physical things in other people's personal space. I mean, that's the thing
Yeah.
I think that's always tricky. What I tell people all the time is because you need it makes it impossible for you to see it as a problem. So because your dog jumps on you when you get home because you had a hard day, it you don't see that as the stimulant of why a dog jumps on a stranger. Because you need that when you get home. So that can't be causing the problem of the dog jumping on a stranger. That's the dog's fault. The dog should know better than to do that. Yet we're the one that educates him that when we get home. I'm weak, jump on me, climb on me. Let's get excited. And then when they do it to somebody else who they don't even know. I mean, if I can do this to you, the person that I share life with, why can't I do it to a stranger? Who gives a shit about a stranger? They're nobody.
Mostly when I have consultations, I coming towards right inside of the house, and mostly I'm telling to the owners on the phone, don't do anything. Let's see what that
Oh yeah.
dog used to do. And dogs behaving like they know who I am, and they know that I am accepting this. Like, and it automatically means to me that that dog have zero respect to humans in general. And I'm quite big guy.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not average height. I'm
Yeah.
for the dogs. I'm big
Yeah.
for sure, and they don't think who I am. That this is not acceptable. Personal space. I have no problem. Dog shows that jumping, biting, humping, do whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't understand. They don't have a natural hesitance that we have. If I meet a stranger on the street, there's a caution for a second. We're talking,
Yeah.
and then as you start to become, how to interacting, then you start to everything starts to change. But these dogs are automatically going in as if they know what is what, and that's one of the things that I mean, I know you hear it too. When you deal with an owner and then the dog acts completely different with you, one of the parts that the dogs don't understand is how crazy are you? Like, where can you go? And that's why I'm a little bit more behaved with you. I know my owners. Like, I know what they're capable of, but I don't quite know you. So I walk a little bit more thoughtful. I act a little bit different in the yard because I'm not quite sure that survival kicks in for them, and they don't just go into automatic mode. Um, and yeah, it's
And thinking begin what's very natural.
yeah,
Without thinking, they will be dead
yeah,
in a real environment.
yeah, absolutely. So some of the things that we had talked about earlier, for some reason, so I had a couple different tech updates. The Facebook comments aren't showing up, and so I don't know if you're leaving a comment. I'm really sorry because I don't want to like push any buttons or anything. I don't know where it went. Usually it would just pop right up, but the program I use made a couple changes, so I don't quite know exactly what's.
I have my second phone. I
Oh,
can
okay.
check for comments.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm sure my mother-in-law is saying hi to you, Artem. Uh,
I'm saying hi to her also.
so some of the things we talked about, I had a nice conversation with an amazing woman from the East Coast in the United States, and she was talking about like a lot of the content that people put out it isn't necessarily helping her connect the dots of like my dog jumps because of this. It's a lot of just like stop your dog from jumping. And I thought that
Yeah.
was a beautiful way of putting it because we have to take responsibility for why our dogs do it. Dogs don't naturally just run up to humans and jump on them. If you come to Los Angeles, if you go to the Ukraine and you see stray dogs, they don't just run up to people and jump on them. They're cautious, they're thinking. So this is a human created problem. And it's actually a shirt that I'm going to make. I talked to my friend today, and I thought that would be a good shirt. We have a human, a human behavior kind of idea for a T-shirt, which is going to be great. So look out for that soon. So I figured we would talk about a lot of the problems people are having, knocking over, walking on you, and then we're going to get into right now um, how where do they come from? The basically our stop doing list. And if we work on doing these things, then our dog's reality will change. And I personally just get like a little bit frustrated, and you know this about me. I've curbed it in my attitude with my anger, but I just get so frustrated with the humor that's around these problems. So when I was typing in dog behavior, intimacy, all of these things, all that kept coming up were these memes of my dog's an asshole, he doesn't know personal space, and it's 130 pictures of like dogs sitting on people's head or like a dog sitting on your lap and the person's about to eat. Like, I think the first thing we have to realize is this shit's not funny. Like, it might be
Or
to,
dogs coming towards a child personal space and making child fall down
yes.
like bam.
Yeah.
and everybody laughing. Oh,
Yeah.
so nice.
There was one recently, I saw it on Instagram, where the dog was grabbing the kid's pants and he was pulling.
Uh-huh.
And the kid was getting pulled across the ground as his pants were kind of getting pulled off. And the owners were just laughing and laughing. And that, to me, like, that is a perfect case of animal abuse, because you see it as your perspective, and you're not seeing it. What is the animal actually thinking right there? Because he's not thinking this is funny.
Yeah.
He's not thinking it's funny. I'm not saying that he's having ill intentions of, like, I'm going to, like, hurt this child, but he's not thinking it's funny. They don't have this funny bone. They don't laugh at each other. They're seeing this as the start of, like, for us, it's the understanding of what does that ripping behavior mean in the predatory sequence, because it means
Yeah.
something to them separate from us. So I just get so frustrated, and I know you're a little bit more calm than me in those situations, but man, it really bugs me, because
Not always.
not always good, man. Good that it's not just me, because, like, man, I just get so floored by these videos, like hundreds of thousands of views, and then all these people chiming in. Oh, that's just like my dog, and it's just like my dog. And then we wonder why we have this huge epidemic of dogs getting killed, and dogs being in shelters, and dogs being homeless. And it just starts with us saying dogs have a different vocabulary, and either we want to learn it or not. You've been teaching me Russian. I can't just keep trying to speak English, right? I have to learn what privet means. I have to know what kak de la means, right? This is like the basics of it, right? I can't just keep, saying, like, oh, it's what humans want, or what English. It's respecting this other language. To me, shows that you respect the creature you brought in there. So
Yeah.
that, for me, is the start of this. And it's not that we have to be serious. And, like, I get why people post it, and I'm sure you do too. Like, for some people it's funny, but then we have to then also connect the dots about what happens when the dog grabs for the pants, misses the pants, and actually grabs the kid's leg and pulls, and the dog is like, oh shit. And then now my dog just bit my kid, and now the dog is bad. He should have known that my kid's leg was in there, and it should only have grabbed the pants like this. Like, it doesn't work that way. So, I just think that's the start of it. Do you have anything to add to that?
No.
No? Okay. So we have to have a collective.
Where are we going now? Which
We're going to
piece
keep the
of
stop doing
content?
list. Or
Stop doing this.
yeah, stop it.
Maybe you should. Maybe we should explain a little bit what um, sharing personal space and having communication there for dogs mean for the dogs
Okay.
before,
Yeah, I actually
and then that stop list will be
yeah. Go for it. Let me
more
hear.
understand. Yeah.
Let me hear what you have to say.
So everybody can check this, and everybody can get more information about what personal space for the dog for the dogs means really means. And when we see two dogs interacting with each other, we see a lot of things, like one keeping and creating boundaries for another, like, I don't like this, don't be up on my neck, don't hump me, don't come towards my personal space when I'm resting, like lying down and feeling calm, like, "Bah, go away." So dogs don't share personal space the way we want it to be. And interesting thing that I already said, that they don't like many things when one dog doing it towards another, and we like everything what they do towards us, except biting.
Yeah.
Only when biting begins we see the problem. So it's not just about hugging and kissing for them. It's a lot of information happening, and they sharing. And also, Brandon always saying that in a lot of his videos, they trying to figure out who is more dominant than the other, and they testing each other, but without being aggressive, without like real fight. And yeah, many things that happen in personal space when two dogs there, like between them, it's about testing each other. Even if those dogs live together, like Kita and Lily. Kita always trying to make Lily to do things, to interact the way Kita wanted, yeah?
Yeah.
Coming towards her personal space and making her not anything bad, but still manipulating her to get
something.
that
Yep.
feedback,
Yep.
to make her work for her. Like let's do this.
Yeah.
So, and we see interaction in personal space like only hugs, kisses, and only in that way, mostly. And that's why we have problems. Because those things, they represent weakness.
Yeah. And like,
maybe you going to add anything?
well, one of the things that I love that Brandon always says is when you touch your dogs, which is the intimate space, when you touch your dogs, you're only sharing two emotions. That's it. Either your weakness or your dominance. And that's where that 80-20 rule comes into effect of Pareto's principle, is in that 20% in the 100% that we're touching the dog, it's creating most of our problems because we're not aware of why dogs and how they share personal space. If one of the dogs is laying on a bed and another dog walks by, sometimes they just get up because they don't want any problems. They're just like, I don't know if you want this or not, but I'm just deciding I'm going to go lay over here. And the dog might not even do that. They might not even have an interest. Or I might have a dog that'll lay on a bed next to another dog, and it could be a hierarchy thing. He doesn't even mean anything. She doesn't even mean anything by it. She just wants to be comfortable, and you'll see the other dog move. And for us, it's usually the opposite. When we sit on the floor, our dog comes towards us because they see that weakness, and then they think only hierarchy. So then we have our problems. So if we can really understand that concept of, how we touch creates weakness or dominance, and then why we struggle to cut nails, why we struggle to, be able to sit on the couch the way we want to, the way we want to be able to send our dog away from us when they're like, no. Like, my most powerful spot is being right on your lap. So that's where I want to be. The other thing I think that's very, very, to me, again, I know this is like extreme, but I believe it strongly in the other forms of animal abuse is, that term, and I laugh every time I read it because you said it and you don't speak English, is that univocal, where we encourage our dog to jump and be excited sometimes, but then when we're wearing a dress or we're going to a wedding or I don't want dog hair or I have new sneakers or trainers, as you guys call them, if I have my new shoes on and my dog jumps on me, then we penalize them for it. Do you think that's fair? To create your problem and then penalize the animal for it? It just doesn't become clear. They do not understand the difference. They understand, and that just fascinates me.
And we call a little bit of sarcasm, and we call it friendship.
Friendship. Yeah, I tell you, I like it, and then when you decide to do
this to me, then don't do this to me.
Yeah, and then we get, and then I don't want my friends to explode on me like that with the frustration. I mean, imagine what that feels like, because then the dog's like, wait, I'm confused now, and in that confusion is where you actually lose respect, because then you're not clear. Because then he's like, well,
Yeah.
wait, I don't really get this. Hold on a second, huh? And then they learn to not listen to you because you're not clear. There is never a time where I've seen dogs be wishy-washy. As one of the things Brandon always says is the best way to live with your dog is only tell them what you don't like, because everything else you must like. So if I tell my dog, I discipline my dog, and when I tell them, however that is, I don't like that. Whatever you do after that, I must like. Unless I don't like that, then I'll let you know that also. And that's where the clarity comes, because I am very univocal in the way I have my boundaries. If I sit down on the couch, my dog doesn't automatically walk up. My dogs are allowed on the couch. We're moving, so I don't have a couch anymore. But they don't necessarily walk over and think I'm going on the couch. I call them over, and they're like, oh shit, okay. And they come over. So there's a clarity that comes, I think, within the personal space that they maintain within each other. And that's something I think we could really learn from just by observing. We go to the dog park, you go to the dog beach, you'll see the difference. When do the dogs' hackles all go up? It's not when they're 37 feet away. It's when they're right there and smelling. Oh, geez, right? I'm not sure about this. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
The way a lot of dogs approach each other is completely opposite the way those dogs approach humans. Most dogs still keeping that understanding about another dog that I cannot approach, boom, jumping on another dog, especially if it is a little bit confident dog in front of him. So they're very cautious, yeah.
Yeah.
They sinking,
Yeah.
they sniffing, and only, for example, if they start playing, what means they will be jumping on each other. It only happens after they agreed that with each other through the body language. It's not happening the way it happens at our homes. Human just came in, and in the first millisecond, dog is there.
Yeah.
And physically, like, whoa, hi.
Yeah. And that's how our dogs get into trouble when they go out into the world, is because they lose sense of this chart right here. They lose sense of every animal that's a wild animal has the total understanding because they've never been educated by reading a Wikipedia article. They understand public, social, personal, and intimate space. They know it.
Yeah.
And the way they go through that bubble is by watching the other's body language. And if you look at it and it's unclear and confusing, then you're going to add stress. And that's why a dog will burst out of a house, because they go right into the intimate space, not understanding a social space. I was out hiking with my dogs the other day. We had just, ironically, we were just like walking around this place we have walked a million times, and I didn't realize there was this whole other trail. So we started to go down the trail, and there was a dog maybe 50 feet away. And as soon as I stopped, my dog stopped. And that dog stopped because they were like, oh, wait a second. Social space. I see you over there. It doesn't mean that I have to run over there, just like I didn't run over to that person. Hey, how are you? What's going on? Are you great? Right? I went through it. I actually saw the person was uncomfortable. So you watch to move through these spaces. And that's why dogs get into trouble. And that's why having socialization versus training is so important, is because your dog learns to go through these by being around animals. They realize, a lot of, like one of my dogs and another dog that I have and another dog that I have, they all teach different parts of this social space. What do you do? When one dog's sleeping and somebody comes up to their intimate space, they're like, hey, back off. Another one, when they come over to the intimate space, might say, hey, let's juke down, let's play. So they're teaching them how they go back and are educating them where the human confused them, what these bubbles are. And that's so fascinating. I actually can see the comments now.
Nice.
And then somebody said inconsistency. Alicia said inconsistency, but we think the dogs know the difference. They don't. And I could imagine if you worked at an office and the rules were constantly changing, how stressful that would be. Today we type on the computer, tomorrow you have to write a note, the next day we do it on the phone, and then we're always getting in trouble for this. And when we get in trouble, that's not clear. So it just becomes a problem. Is there anything else you wanted to add to that, Artem? I don't know what happened to that section. That I had that part in there when we were going to talk about the personal space. I must have accidentally deleted it, and then I jumped to the stop doing list because I just want people to stop doing stuff. Just stop changing this. I want my phone to stop ringing. So yeah, we talked.
Yeah,
Go.
always using that on consultations to check yourself. I'm talking to everybody right now. Do you have or you don't have problems with personal space when dog is there? Uh, just imagine that this is not a dog and check out all of that common things that your own dog doing daily towards you while he's on your personal space. If it will be a human, well-known human, but he's doing that, like always trying to make you do something, always trying to be very close to you, all of that things. Uh, it, how to say it? Would it be nice or not
Yeah.
if it will be a human, not a dog?
Or even,
All of that actions will be done by a human.
or even this. This is one of the things Brandon said to me once: is if more people treated their dogs like their horses, we wouldn't have these problems. Do you let your horse just come right into your personal space? No, because they're a 1,500-pound animal that could stomp you. So
Yeah.
we create a bubble, but it's for our own safety. And that's one of the things we don't do with our dogs. If we just treated our dogs like a horse or like an elephant or something that wasn't a dog, we would have a lot less problems because it would change the way we view them, and then we would be more accountable.
Yeah, and I guess I will add some. I had a note, very short. Let me check it. What's your dog know about your personal space? Define who you are for the dog.
Yeah.
That's all.
Say that one more time.
Because what's your dog know about your personal space? Define who you are for the dog. Because they analyzing everything they doing and everything they done towards human while they on human's personal space from the dog perspective only.
Yeah.
And another thing, if you don't own your personal space, then you cannot own anything and control in environment.
Absolutely.
So if we do not own something here, if we do not create boundaries, respect, a little bit of respect, and the most thing that we're missing is not even some type of discipline. What we always missing with the dogs is smooth attitude, a little bit less emotions.
Yeah.
Like smooth, like that. Not like even, hey, don't come towards me, but smooth. Not making big deal of it.
And that's funny you say that because that's to me what always people think it's these giant spikes. Like I'm nice and then I have to be super mean and then I have to make up for it for being nice.
No.
Where if we just stay more mellow, you come home and you're just able to walk in and put your groceries down without having to do anything towards the dog. And those moments, that's where it becomes, I think, really.
Or call him to the personal space. Not in that way. Hannah, come on.
Yeah.
Without this, like with normal voice, like come on. And interesting thing about the voice, dogs see that we communicate with each other normally by using our voice. And as soon as it goes towards the dog, it's become like that. For some reason.
I know.
What's happening to you? The dog's thinking.
Yeah.
What's happening to you when you're communicating to me?
Yeah. And when you get unstable, depending on the type of dog you have, that's when they actually come over and start to protect. That's when they
Mm-hmm.
might start to discipline you because, again, dogs only believe in hierarchy. So if you're the weakest
Yeah.
member of the chain, then you might get disciplined for being like that. It's when I come and a dog acts unstable. When a dog comes to my place and acts unstable, that draws the attention of other dogs because they're like, "Whoa, man, you're freaking us all out. What's going on here?" And then that flooding can make them be like, "Oh, wait, what's going on?" So yeah, so important, man. So important. So I just put this question in the comments. Does your dog or a friend's dog suffer from any
Mm-hmm.
personal space issues? I want to hear it. Do you go over to a friend's house and their dog is climbing all over you? Do you want to avoid your friend's house because their dog has no respect for your personal space? Go ahead. What were you going to say?
That thing that you added to dog also, I guess it will give better understanding. That example when we can go to some jungle and somebody approach us and
Oh yeah,
touch
we're going
us
to
and
talk
things
about
like
that.
that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. Yeah, we're going to go into the stop doing list. Are you ready for that, or do you have anything else that you wanted to add?
Yeah, let's go. No,
Okay.
let's go. Let's go.
So one of the things we talked about is we have to stop humanizing this. Um, Somebody's already saying yes, they have a friend that they struggle, either them or their dog struggles with personal space. If you feel like, Maxim, if you feel like sharing a little story, if you're comfortable, if not, no big deal. I mean, it's all fine. We've got some comments coming in. The lack of clarity was the second thing that we talked about. How is your dog supposed to not jump on grandma because she's old when your dog jumps on you? If they don't respect you, why are they going to respect somebody else? And that's with kids, right? If I don't respect the one that I'm living with, then I'm going to act a certain way when I go over to my friend Tommy's house. His mom, I might talk back or act differently. So this is the one that I thought was very interesting. Kissing, kissing our dogs. So in this article on Psychology Today, I thought this was one of the best summaries of kissing a dog. Do you have anything that you want to add before I read this? Is there anything in particular that when you hear that kissing,
No, go.
does that make you? Okay, so I'm going to read this directly, which isn't professional,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
we're not professional.
No,
So
go.
we look directly, this direct can be threatening to a dog, kissing. And this is why. Because remember, it's not from our perspective. We can rationalize what we're doing, but we're able to speak English, think like primates, right? We're able to intellectualize. These are canines who have a completely different vocabulary, who might put up with it, but have no idea what the hell you're doing. And some of them take it this way. This is great, great article. So we're looking, it can be threatening, and this is why. We're entering their personal space, which is often unwelcomed, arms around the neck, which is a dominant gesture, applying lips to muzzles, which can be interpreted as a reprimand. So when moms or other dogs are playing, if you ever watch, when they mouth each other's muzzles, that can be a light form of reprimand. So you're coming in doing a dominant gesture, reprimanding your dog, who you possibly don't have a respectful relationship with, and we wonder why they snap at your face, they try to get away from it, they get uncomfortable, and then we take it as a certain way. And we're going to continue. So again, moms can briefly do this with the muzzle and disciplining. If we put it all together, and let's just use a child as an example. We have a child, which if it's not taught properly in the household, can be a low ranking member, invades a dog's personal space. A lot of time it's a dog they don't know, puts their arm around the dog's neck, looks directly into the dog's eyes, a final insult, puts the mouth to the muzzle and kiss, and then we wonder why the dog bites. Thought that was beautiful. Then what happens? The dog does something now, triggers fear in us, which is snapping. Or the other thing the dog does that a lot of people don't realize how they create the snapping is when the dog does the gesture of I'm not comfortable, they react emotionally and feel as if the dog should be able to do this. So then they put more pressure on the dog. No, no, come here, buddy. It's okay. He just wants to kiss your face because we are ashamed that our dog does that. We're ashamed and we feel less than these strangers. So we force our dog to do it, who's already telling me I'm not comfortable. And then the first time it might be okay, the second time it might be okay. And then the dog finally snaps because nobody's willing to help him. Nobody's willing to help him understand, oh shit, he's not comfortable. So let him move away. So we look at all of these things and then we figure out why does the dog behave like that. So people then scream, bad dog. That dog is bad. He should be able to do that. We have an expectation of what a dog we don't know should be able to do. Wow, that's powerful. And really what I always find out, this is shitty parenting. This is us thinking that our dog should be able to love our kid or should be able to do these things instead of saying, I have a kid who moves fast, is unpredictable, and I have a dog who doesn't understand this moving fast, doesn't understand what all this means, and yet we're forcing them to cope with this understanding. So one of the things they said in this article was 2 feet of space can save your child's face. I thought that was great. I thought that was great. And it said, comma, and your own. So I had this happen recently. I'm sure you've had it happen. A woman was at a park with her Rottweiler while the kids were playing. The dog was perfectly well behaved. Nothing was wrong. And people have actually said in the group that that dog, they had seen them previously there. Never been a problem. A kid ran up and hugged the dog. The dog bit the kid in the face. And the amount of hate for that dog was astonishing. Astonishing. Somebody who was smart said, well, why is your dog hugging a dog he doesn't know? And do you know what everybody did, Artem? They bashed that person for putting that. The dog should be able to. Our expectation of what a dog is capable of is just, it's unbelievable, isn't it? What we think a dog should be able to do.
And for me, there is a sign of root problem. We trying to make them in our heads only because it's not happening in real life. We're trying to make them pets while they are predators.
Yes.
And that's why everybody have problems, because nobody having fun in a situation like that. Nobody.
Yeah. So that's just one thing that we can just understand is your dog might tolerate it, but it does not mean they like it. And if you see scientific studies about cortisol levels and stress hormones when we hug our dogs and kiss our dogs, ain't good. And as you always say, Artem, they don't disagree with it then. They disagree when they attack a dog at a dog park. They disagree with it when they jump on you. They disagree with it by all the problem behaviors you have. Because when you do those things and don't respect them, then they learn to take care of themselves. They're like, this is a house of self-preservation, and I don't need to pay attention to you. So the other thing, I'm just going to go through this list kind of fast because we always try to make these shorter and they keep getting longer. The floating hand syndrome, Artem. When you approach a dog, put your hand out to smell them. So this is one of the things I wanted to share. Here's a diagram that my friend sent me. Do you see all this pink? That is all the nerve endings in our dog's nose. It is flooded with the ability to smell you across the room. Your dog, when you approach a dog, you do not need to put your hand out to have the dog smell your hand. I don't know where that started. It is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, and is probably one of the biggest reasons why people get bit. And one of the things it said here is that compared to us, dogs have 300 million olfactory receptors in their noses, which is 40 times greater than us. So that dog already smelled you up the street. He doesn't need you to put your hand in his face. And what this means, Artem, this is pretty amazing. Do you guys do liters? You guys do liters in your country, right? For measuring fluid? Is it liters? Or do you guys do gallons? Like, do
Oh,
you
liters. Yeah,
liters?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, a dog can smell a teaspoon of sugar inside an Olympic swimming pool, which is just under 1 million gallons of water. So 1 million gallons of water and a teaspoon of sugar, a dog can smell that. What the hell are we putting our hand in a dog's face for? What are we trying to accomplish? Here, I'm not a bad person. Touch my hand. So I love this story. This was
And
all.
actually, what's happening? We shutting down the nose. Our own eyes. What the fuck is going on?
Yes, yes. Artem, I never thought about it that way. That is genius. We're actually changing now to a visual stimulant, which is a
Yeah.
predatory place and can absolutely get themselves in trouble. So a couple different things. One of the things Brandon has this really simple explanation is when you touch a dog, when you walk into a space, you're doing something dominant by taking over territory. Then when you reach out and pet, you're doing something submissive. And that is confusing to a dog. So you're starting off dominant, then doing something submissive. To the wrong dog, you will absolutely get penalized. And that comes down to the owner that you're dealing with, what they've taught their dog. How does that dog feel about humans? So when you're doing that, you're basically trusting that that owner has a dog that will not penalize you by using his teeth. It's not going to discipline you for doing something like that. Because remember, they're clear. When you come into my personal space and I don't like it, which is the intimacy bubble, I'm going to do something. And that do something depends on the ranking and how the dog feels about themselves. And discipline can be done with teeth. That's something we have to understand. So here's the story. I thought this was hysterical. The floating hand mystery, this is what they called it. So imagine you're walking through a jungle in New Guinea, right? And you see somebody and they all of a sudden do this outreached arm thing, right? You don't know these people. It's a new language and they reach out to you. What's the first thing you think is, what does this mean? Is this something that, is this like an olive branch? Are you going to attack me? Do I have to defend myself? Like, is this a pre-attack ritual? What is going on right now? We don't know. We don't know. So we have to understand that this isn't normal for dogs. If a dog wants you to touch them, they will be near you and they will invite you into their bubble. And it's actually a way a lot of dogs will bait you into it. Brandon calls it the Jekyll and Hyde, where they'll come in, they'll look like they want to be touched, you touch them, and then boom, they discipline you. So this floating hand thing, we have to, like, as a society, this has to stop. It is absolutely a reason why a lot of dogs are getting bit. Our people are getting bit is because we're doing something dominant followed by something submissive. And because we're doing so many confusing things at home, we're getting penalized. I told that story in the last feed where somebody did that to my dog when I went into a dog boutique, and somebody reached at my dog, and instead of disciplining, the dog backed up. That's a learned skill, to be like, oh shit, what are you doing there? That person was just lucky it was my dog. If it was another dog who had a problem with a leash, who felt trapped, who had an owner that constantly made him feel like he was a special snowflake, then that person might have got snapped at. And sometimes you need to get snapped at. Sometimes you need to have a consequence to realize you're doing the wrong thing. So, lap dogs. We talked about this. Do people talk about that in the Ukraine? Lap dogs?
No.
No.
We don't have that. I understood that term only because I know laptop.
Okay, so our lap is for our laptop, not our lap dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, lap
Yeah,
dog.
yeah.
Do you have any feelings about this? I mean, I know it's not. I could, because I'm looking at the document. I could read off, but I don't want to just. I don't want to like take over the conversation. But I mean, is there? I mean, it's something that to me people validate the inversion of. People validate the dog's invasion of personal space by saying he's a lap dog, she's a lap dog. That's where they like to be. Do you have any insight into something like that?
Usually those lap dogs only fulfill their wish to be there, and if humans trying to send them off, they turning back, turning back, turning back, and turning back, which means that you have problem, respect problem.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So if he can be lapped up, okay, but uh, can he go away when you're asking him this with the same speed he going here?
Yeah. Yeah.
If yes, and you invited him here, no problem. But again, smooth, how to say, smooth attitude, not always here. Always here mean owning, like being on you all day long while you're home.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So that's something we just have to change. I think it's a way people just, again, it's a way they validate the things they're feeling. My dog loves me, he needs to be on my lap, all that kind of stuff. But
Just, I guess, again, we can try to think when not the dog, but lap neighbor,
yeah,
who is always want to be on a lap neighbor. He just coming and want to be there, like
yeah,
even peeing and pooping here, like lap neighbor.
it's fine.
Why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
He likes that.
So the other thing we talked about was avoiding eye contact unless you mean it. Eye contact means
Yeah.
two things, either affection or aggression. And it's a common thing when you look down at your dog with a weak mindset, the dog will absolutely jump on you. Then we penalize them for it. So we look down, the dog jumps, and then we yell at them, and then the dog backs off. So when you look at your dog in the eye, mean it. What are you trying to say? I use it as a
Yeah.
way to communicate to my dogs, back up. So if I discipline and then I stare at my dogs, they start to be a little more thoughtful. Right? So we have to really understand when we use eye contact, what's our mindset behind it? Because that's what a dog knows. They know if it's weakness. Oh, you want me to jump on you. Oh, you're looking for me to come into your personal space. Um, Ignoring dogs as they approach your personal space, that's something that's very, very important. If a dog is
And
trained,
I'm seeing that it's very hard
yeah,
for owners. But it's actually, let me translate that word. Sorry. It's actually what's actually happening.
it's it's just it's the dog training you. I want a back rub right now.
And it's actually invasion, like
Yeah,
coming whenever he wants.
yeah, yeah, and getting what he wants too. I mean, I imagine if I did
Yeah.
that to my wife, I just walked up and turned around and she just knew to scratch my back, and that shit ain't flying in my house, right?
While she's talking on the phone.
Yeah, while she's talking on the phone, while she's in the middle of doing something else, I can just tell
Yeah.
her, "Excuse me, I need a back rub now."
No, not excuse me, do this.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, no, excuse me, just get to work. One of the things I love that Brandon had talked about, this is actually a time where he'll use the word sit, and that's because not that it changes behavior, but what it changes is intention. So if you're sitting on the couch and you're working through this invasion of personal space, when a dog walks up to you and is saying like, "Hey, it's time for my 10:30 massage," ask him to sit. And then he's like, "Wait, what?" And then he sits, and then ignore him. And what you've just done in the rap world, they call it flip the script, is that when they thought they were getting something, you made them do something, and it automatically starts to go away. Because every single time I go to you, you make me do something and I don't get what I want. So why would I keep going back? So it's a way that we can use the word. I don't care how long you sit. I don't care what you do after sit. That has nothing to do with the word sit. Ask them to do something when they think they're about to ask you to do something. And you will see the change in the approach. Because now they're like, well, I'm not going to keep coming up to you because you keep making me do something and then you ignore me. So that's a simple way that doesn't add a lot of conflict into our relationship, that we can stop a dog from doing that. Just ask them to do something when they think they're about to get something. And boom, they'll stop approaching right away. One of the things I also think is funny, Brandon always says this, so many people pet their dog for something it did 3 weeks ago, but they pet it now. So they see their dog and they're like, they see the cute haircut and they're like, well, the groomer told me you were so good 3 weeks ago. But we're thinking we're petting the mindset now. We don't think we're petting the mindset now. We're petting 3 weeks ago. And that's where being clear about what we're petting right now. And I have this, and I know you've had this happen too. You'll be in a consultation, and the whole time you're talking, the person will be petting the dog, right? Petting the dog. And it's a dog that bites.
And even looking at the dog,
not looking at it, but who's the dog looking at? Me. Thinking, I can't wait for you to move so I can bite you. And they keep telling me that this is the right thing to do. So then what I'll do is I'll move my leg or something. And it'll usually be after they tell me, oh, he's being so good. I'll move, and then the dog lunges. And then they'll say, see, that's what I'm talking about. See how unpredictable he is? We're petting a mindset that we're not in connection with. We're not sharing the same moment. So when we're petting, we have to understand we're enhancing that mindset. And we have to be understanding what's the mindset right now. That's why it's better not to touch unless you know what your dog is thinking. Looking at me in the eye. I called him over to me. All of these different things. We're going to talk about, the ways that we feel like is a good way to give affection. But petting while you're thinking, creating that bubble around. I mean, there's a couple other things, but I think people are getting the idea of just the accountability of the mindset. There's a trainer, I don't remember who it is, but it's like you get what you pet. So when you're petting, that's exactly what you're getting. And it could be an enhanced predator staring and scanning the environment. It could be increasing your emotional relationship with the dog, but you're petting, that's exactly what you're getting. So you have to be accountable. So we talked about the Pareto's principle in the beginning, the 80-20 rule. So how, in your mind, when you're talking to your clients, because everybody says it, well, when do I give them affection? How do you explain to your clients how to give affection appropriately?
Mostly, first of all, I explaining that your affection worth nothing for your dog because he can get it like that. Like, it's the same when if we wake up someday and $1 million on the floor. First day will be, oh, we have a lot of money, and a few days later, so, oh shit, that money cannot find my slippers, yeah?
Yeah.
So we're losing, dogs don't see our, let's say, not weak, but soft side when we can massage them and share that type of interaction with us. They don't see it as something, how to say, let's say, interesting for them because they always can get that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm telling people in here where Pareto principle can be used. Like you have 100, say it. You will explain it better.
Yeah.
I'm struggling with my English explaining that.
That 20% of your actions cause 80% of your problems.
No, and then I'm suggesting to cut off affection the way Pareto principle works.
Yeah.
So if you have one, like, imagine all of your affection, this is 100 persons, so then 80 persons you not touching your dog, and only leaving 20%. And the way you should do this is
Yeah. Well,
on our list.
yeah, and it's what exactly I heard when people did the 24-hour challenge of not talking and not touching. Your dog
Hmm.
actually becomes more attentive.
Yeah.
And it's the cool kid syndrome. Do you when you were in high school and the cool kids were walking around, were those the ones that you focused on, or was it your friends? It was the ones that don't
Yeah.
pay attention to you. But as soon as they
Mm-hmm.
do, you're like, "Ooh, did they just talk to me?" I mean, it's like that, the movie Mean Girls. I always say that to my clients is you got to live in the movie Mean Girls, where you're like all of a sudden super important because you ignore other people, your
Yeah.
animal. They actually become more attentive and the relationship actually starts to blossom because you become more clear to them of what's happening.
Like, yeah, it's creating right picture, because when we don't have, when we do not apply that rules for the personal space, our life spinning around the dog,
Yes.
and we need opposite.
Yeah.
Like we the one whom he looking for getting some type of direction, attention,
Yeah.
things like that.
So obviously, when the dog is soliciting the attention, that's never a time to touch.
Yeah.
That's easy. When they approach you, that's the time to back off.
About what I mean by saying attention is not it's the dog staring at me and
Yeah.
all the day long want me to pet him. What I mean is the dog is attentive to me. When I'm saying, "Hey, back off,"
Yeah.
he's backing off. I'm saying, "Come here." He's coming. What, no matter what he's doing. That I'm meaning by saying attention.
Yeah. Yeah. So I follow obviously what because I just believe so strongly in his interpretation of that's for me. Like when I say Brandon, I don't think it's a method. I don't think it's um, a training. I think it's the way dogs think. And so for me, that's why a lot of his interpretations of the canine behavior mean so much to me, is because to me it has nothing to do with the human. It has with 30 some years of observing the dog's behavior. So for me, I want the dog to be looking at me. If my dog is looking into the world and I'm touching them, I have no way to be assured of what they're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever I'm doing at that moment, I could be absolutely reinforcing a positive reinforcement for something that's a negative behavior, which could be
Yeah.
scanning the environment. I hear a sound, whatever it is. So for me, if my dog is looking at me, it's something that I initiated. I will give affection because that's what I got. Part of why I got a dog. I want to be able to touch them and share because it is an intimacy that they do understand. They lick each other's muzzles, they share space on the bed, they do these things. But the way I do it, I have to come to communication with I'm a human, so this isn't 100% clear. So let's make sure I do the best I can to make sure they're thinking the right thing so that I'm not adding to any potential problems in the future. I can get what I want by making sure they're getting what they want, which is clarity. So
Yeah.
coming to me with my come here, whatever that is, I might even ask them to do something just to reinstate again that this is about me and hierarchy. Come here, sit. Okay, scratch you on the head, walk away. Sometimes I don't, but it just lets them know that I'm the one that's in charge of this activity. It's going to start and stop when I want. It could change into something else, which means now go away. It could be, come on, we're going outside, whatever it is. So those are two huge things for me is I make sure the dog is looking at me and not into the environment. And I have to be clear. I have to be as clear as I can to what they're thinking. If not, it could be a disaster. Um, and I mean, I'm not perfect, just like everybody, but I do my best to be aware of the emotions I have at that time also. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not trying to get them more excited. I'm not trying to use it as a moment of weakness before something that something happens, and then I'm like loving on my dog because it's a phone call I don't want to have to make, and petting my dog makes me feel more comfortable. I mean, it's been scientifically proven that touching your dog does things to our chemistry. So obviously, there's advantages to it, but we just have to be aware of those advantages and what happens to our animals in those moments. What do you think?
Yeah,
Anything
I
else?
have. Do we finished in general?
Yeah.
So
What
I have some thoughts to summarize this.
you always do. You know what? I'm gonna have to make a little thing that says Artem's final thoughts. That will be for the next one.
Uh,
Go ahead. What are Artem's final thoughts?
so we should learn to respect their their personal space and not use them as uh, like creature who is make not make in our life only for like relieving some stuff, yeah, by communicating with the dog.
Yeah.
So we should respect their personal space, and we should if we're going to change uh, things that happening, if we have problems with the dog, so we should stop disrespect ourselves.
Artem. That was definitely an Artem's final thought. Disrespect ourselves.
Like dogs can do almost everything towards us, and we showing that yes, do it to me. Not even I even don't want to say reinforcing. We just showing yes, do this to me, do this to me, do this to me.
Yeah.
I am accepting that
Yeah.
you can feel that way towards me. You can do that physically to me. So we need to stop disrespecting ourselves and create a little bit of boundaries, which actually we are constantly creating when we communicating with our other humans. If we don't create that boundaries, it can cause problems in communication with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And we also should remember that dogs seeing communication which happening in personal space, like when they come towards our personal space or we coming towards their personal space and doing something only from the dog's perspective. And what that means, it means canine perspective. They are predators, so a lot of times they seen that from the predatory side and from the social side. And social side for them, first of all, is hierarchy. It's not for fun. It's not for things like that, mostly. And yeah, let's summarize those to-do list or not to-do, I guess to-do list. Like never approach the dog to pet, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Do not pat the dog when dog coming towards your personal space.
Yeah. That's going to be hard for people. I know that for sure.
Yeah. Pet your dog only when you calling him, because you inviting him, because you making him move his ass towards you. Like you already like in a more dominant position.
Mm-hmm.
You're making him do something, not he is, and he's appearing here because of your will, not his will. And don't be emotional. Just pat him that slow massage without any words,
Yeah.
because those words automatically lead to
Arousal.
arousal. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand is then when they try to tell their dog what they don't like because they've done oh my God, it makes their problem worse.
Yes.
We talked about classical conditioning in one of the previous episodes, and that's an unconscious or a well, not unconscious. I guess unconscious, but it's something that the animal can't change. It's in them, just like hunger is something that's in you. I can pay you not to do it, to not eat, but to be hungry is something you can't control. So as soon as when we form that kind of relationship with our animal, when we actually need them to do something, our voice actually becomes a stimulator and not a discipline.
Mm-hmm.
They don't growl at each other and then get more excited.
Yeah.
Right? So it's that what we do again.
Yeah. And also we'll add one thing. If other people want to pet your dog and they asking for permission, what I found, I'm telling people, call him, and if he will move forward towards you to get your affection, that means that he's at least feels somehow okay about you, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And if he's not, you will not pet him.
Yeah. Yeah.
You will not pet him if he will not go towards you when you calling him.
You're always more kind than me. I always say, when people are like, can I pet your dog? I always go, why?
No, many times I'm saying no. Even today we've been in the forest, which in front of our house, and the kid coming, can I pet your dogs? We have 5 dogs.
Yeah.
I'm saying no. Okay, you can pet that, and show him to Camila, call her. And
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, my man. More insights. I actually made it on the screen right now, so it says Artem's final thoughts.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love your summaries, man. It's great. So thank you everybody that's been here and commented.
Yeah.
Alicia and
Yeah, leave comments if you have any questions about that topic that we had today. Leave comments below.
yeah,
Questions, anything.
yeah. So I'll just cheap plug again. If you go to my website, thedogside.com, sign up for my newsletter, and I'll be sharing the link. And then also to this talk on YouTube. Sometimes it's easier for people to just watch on YouTube. But then also, I'll have all the articles with the different resources and stories. I actually got to give a shout out to my buddy Tommy, who will probably be surprised that I'm doing this right now. What he's been doing separately for us, Artem, I haven't even told you this, is Tommy's been pulling all of the audio from this. So we actually have the audio separate from the video every time because he walks around. So I've been thinking about actually uploading this to iTunes also as a podcast, because it's way easier, when people are walking and you have to have the video open and to be able to do multiple things on your phone. So I haven't talked to you about that, but you and I can discuss about loading it. We can talk about that. So each one of these
episodes. Tommy.
Yeah, thanks, Tommy. I mean, Tommy's always he's definitely supporting the Dog Side mission. Huge. If you need a trainer or whatever you want to call it, and you're on the East Coast in Virginia, Washington, D.C. area, send me a message, man. It's definitely my buddy Tommy is somebody that speaks the dog side language and has access to me and Artem and really the dog side family to help people with the problems they're struggling with. So yeah, check that out. Follow us on Instagram. I accidentally switched them, so I'm not going to put our profiles up anyway. So all right, Artem, have a great evening. I'm glad it was an hour earlier for you, because we had daylight savings time, so it's 9 o'clock instead of 10 o'clock in the Ukraine. So give you a little more time. Have a wonderful night, sir.
Thanks.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye. Bye.